All right, we're going to call the committee meeting to order. Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. I see we have lots of visitors today. Appreciate your participation and attendance in these important conversations. I'm going to get just one little thing out of the way administratively. We have two bills that we're going to take by for the day, HB 184, carried by Delegate Helmer, and HB 190, carried by Delegate Converse-Fowler. And that requires a voice vote.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? All right. We will take those two bills by for the day. Thank you. All right. First up, we're going to do a couple things out of order. We've got some folks who have some pressing places they need to be, and to help schedule for that, we're going to take the first three out of order. We're going to have Chair Ward, Delegate Hope, and Delegate Helmer, and then we'll proceed with the rest of the calendar schedule. Chair Ward.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. My bill is House Bill 60. And what this bill does is the bill makes it illegal for insurance companies in Virginia to treat people unfairly just because they take certain medications. And I'm thinking of this PrEP medication that prevents HIV. I said prevents, not treats. This is to prevent people from HIV, but some insurance carriers have been denying some of the coverage and some of the benefits, or they charge higher rates for life insurance or health insurance simply because someone uses PrEP, unless there is some legitimate actual reason beyond PrEP use itself. So this is the purpose of the bill. And I'm here for any questions. I will say that PrEP, the medication, is covered by Virginia Medicaid, and it covers both the traditional Medicaid population and those enrolled through the Medicaid expansion. This coverage includes the cost of the PrEP medication, related clinic visits, and lab visits, lab tests, with no out-of-pocket costs for patients. So we're just asking that they're not discriminated against.
Thank you, Chair Ward. We'll start with the committee. Are there any questions from committee members? Comments? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in support of the bill? If so, I'd like to ask you to come and line up and come close to the podium. And each person will have 1 minute for remarks. Please state your name and organization.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Narissa Rahman. I'm the Executive Director of Equality Virginia, here to testify in support of House Bill 60. PrEP is a medically recommended and highly effective preventative health intervention. Leading public health authorities recommend PrEP for individuals at risk of HIV infection, and ensuring access to affordable insurance coverage for PrEP users is critical to public health. From 2012 to 2022, the average PrEP coverage across the U.S. increased significantly from 0.6% to 26.3%. States, including here in Virginia, that had higher PrEP coverage experienced greater decreases in HIV diagnosis. We see this bill as a true bill to support public health priorities. If individuals fear higher premiums or denials of coverage simply because they are taking steps to stay healthy, they may be less likely to seek out preventative care, worsening long-term health outcomes and increasing overall health costs. We encourage you to support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in support of the bill?
I'm Doug Graham, on behalf of the Virginia Association of Health Plans. I wanted to let you all know that we cover PrEP in the commercial market. There is a new formulation that actually can basically be taken once every 6 months. So we are getting to the point technology-wise where you could actually eliminate HIV eventually, which is amazing. Something that some of us who are a little bbit older could never even conceive of. So just want to make sure you know that there is no discrimination in the sector that I work in. It is not permitted in any way.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. All right. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to the bill? If so, please come forward. Okay. Seeing none, just checking to see if there's anything from the committee. Seeing none, Chair Ward, if you'd like to have the last word.
Well, it's just a preventative medication that is beneficial, is proven that it works, and if there's any way that we can get rid of any type of disease, I believe that or illness, that we should take advantage of it, and that's why I carry this bill.
Thank you, Chair Ward. This committee operates by motion. It's been properly moved and seconded. Please open the rolls for us to cast our votes. All right, the bill reports out in a vote of 8-1. Thank you very much, Chair Ward.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the subcommittee.
Okay, next, if we could have Delegate Hope.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I have House Bill 220. House Bill 220 would repeal the language of allowing insurance companies to charge 1.5 times 50% more for tobacco users, called a tobacco surcharge. In 2021, the Joint Commission on Healthcare did a study. A number of states were repealing this provision that was part of the Affordable Care Act. And what they contracted with Urban Institute, and what they found was that by repealing this language, allowing to charge 50% more just for tobacco users, it would lower premiums for everyone else and increase enrollment. The tobacco surcharge currently creates this adverse selection because tobacco users with greater health care needs, sicker people that smoke, they're willing to pay the surcharge. But the people that are healthier that smoke are not. And that dilutes the pool, and so you have a very sick population that's in the pool, raising the premiums for everyone else. The simulation model that Urban Institute used with the Joint Commission on Healthcare estimates that eliminating this tobacco surcharge would reduce premiums by between 3 and 4.5% for individual market. So this would make health insurance premiums more affordable. That's the bill, Madam Chair, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Delegate Hope. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Delegate Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Speaking to the patron.
You have the floor.
Could you explain how the surcharge currently works? Is it charged to the individual who consumes tobacco, or is it spread out and allocated amongst all the ratepayers or all the insured?
Madam Chair, it's for tobacco use. If you're a tobacco user, the health insurance plan can charge up to 50% higher premium for those individuals.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Nope. Okay. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in support of the bill? If so, please come forward and please come line up close to the podium so we can preserve time and state your name and your organization, and you have 1 minute.
I'm Doug Gray on behalf of the Virginia Association of Health Plans. On behalf of the industry, we wanted to let you know we're okay with this bill. We've been fine with this bill along. It was an ineffective design, that feature of the ACA. Frankly, people aren't honest when you try to charge the surcharge anyway, so it's completely unworkable and doesn't do any good, and frankly needs to go away. So there is no confusion about the industry position. We're in agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Gonzalo Ida with the American Heart Association, and we support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Molly Montague with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. We also support the bill and would like folks to have access to cessation services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ashley Kenneth with the Commonwealth Institute, and we also support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in opposition to the bill? Okay, seeing none. Delegate Hope, would you like to have the last word? Oh, I'm sorry, wait, we do have someone online. Ms. Alex Casper. You are on mute. You would like to unmute yourself, say your name and your affiliation, and you have 1 minute. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Alex Casper, and I am the Director of Advocacy of the American Lung Association. I submitted some written comments, so I'll be very brief. We echo our colleagues who are in the room. We support House Bill 220 as a way to ensure that people who use the tobacco products receive access to healthcare and, more important, coverage around cessation and screenings that they need. We thank Delegate Hope for his continued championship over this issue. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments.
Thank you, Ms. Casper. All right, Delegate Hope, if you'd like to have the last word.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just to conclude, if we're looking for concrete things that we can do to lower the cost of health care, this is a bill that will do that.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion?
Move to report.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Let's go ahead and open up the rolls, place our votes on the board. All right, your bill is reported out, 9-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Member.
And next up, we'll have Delegate Helmer on HB 216. Thank you. Well, actually,
if we could do 216.
69 and
Can we
want to
do
do all
216
yours
first?
together?
Yeah, if that would be all right, Madam Chair.
The floor is yours.
Madam Chair, so in front of you is, members of the subcommittee, in front of you is House Bill 216. So House Bill 216, just so the subcommittee knows, I would expect if the subcommittee acts favorably on it, it would go to HERC because this is, we need to determine defrail. But this is the first step in the process, and the advocates who are here today understand the process that's in front of us. What House Bill 216 does is seeks to cover some gaps in the language we have against around prosthetics. This is not a new coverage and ought ultimately to go through HERC, come back here because defrail should not be required. Currently, it is unclear in the code that when we issue a prosthetic to a child, that prosthetic needs to cover mobility in multiple, in the ability to do sports and other things, so to be able to do the same things that a person that did not need a prosthetic would be able to do. It also doesn't account for the fact, oftentimes insurers cover one prosthetic a year, that children grow. So if you grow taller during the year, you go through a growth spurt, the prosthetic you were issued around your birthday may no longer be appropriate halfway through the year if you grow an inch or two. So this is meant to address that, to address mobility in a number of ways. So if a child wants to run, that they're able to do that and have a prosthetic that's appropriate for that. For those who require prosthetic later in life, this does the same things. Again, clarification of existing coverages, not a new coverages, but it has never been this subcommittee that decides that, so we would expect this to go to HERC. We have a number of advocates here to talk about how this has impacted them personally. I hope they can speak, and then if it's the will of the subcommittee, Madam Chair, I'd hope that you'd write a letter so we could get this in front of HERC in the proper posture.
Thank you. Thank you very much for bringing forward this important bill, Delegate Helmer. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Okay. Well, if there are people in the room that would like to come and speak in support of the bill, please come forward and please line up close to the podium. You will have 1 minute. One on. Okay. Thank you.
Hello, Chair and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for your opportunity, or our opportunity to speak today. My name is Jessica Norrell, and I'm a certified orthotist prosthetist. I am also an owner of Mosen Solutions, a business in Midlothian, Virginia. I spent nearly 22 years in the orthotic and prosthetic profession. Through my work, I have been in operations, payer negotiation, and patient care. I am here today to support the So Everybody Can Move bill. This bill is about patient access, not about business profit. In fact, this is not a request for increased reimbursement and is not coverage for luxury items. Just so you know that in Virginia, most private payers reimburse below Medicare, not above Medicare for prosthetic and orthotic devices to our O&P practices. Hospitals and other businesses get above Medicare. Our businesses are getting below Medicare. This is a patient-centered bill, and what you guys should know is that roughly 40% of the costs of insurance, thank you for your time, please support our bill.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Megan Hinkle. I'm here today with my husband as parents, advocating for our daughter, Ellie. When I was 20 weeks pregnant with Ellie, an ultrasound revealed that if she survived the pregnancy, she would be born without her lower right leg. The medical term for her diagnosis is bacterial association. And in addition to her absent right tibia, she navigates life with a single kidney, a curved spine, and an underdeveloped left thumb. Ellie turns 2 next month, and 2 weeks ago, an incredible surgical team right across the street at Children's Hospital of Richmond at VCU amputated her right foot to prepare her to be fitted for her first prosthetic leg. She is brave, she is resilient, she's so funny, but she was also born limited. So I'm here today to ask you to remove those limitations and codify into law the factual reality that individuals with limb loss and limb difference need more than one prosthetic to lead a healthy and fulfilling life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jenny Yance. I'm a school counselor. My husband's a teacher. We are parents of 3 very brave young men, and they have always loved being active and playing sports. Since the day they were born, my job has been to protect them and advocate for them as parents do. In July 23, being an advocate for my children became an even more, a bigger role in my life. Gavin, who you'll hear from in a minute, was diagnosed with cancer and given a 10% chance of living. He went through chemo and had his right leg amputated. So that's what he did. And from the beginning, our goal was to keep him mentally, spiritually, and physically strong. And we'll continue for that goal to be our goal now that he's cancer-free. Without insurance covering an active prosthetic, though, he could not get back to running the bases and chasing his brothers and his friends in the backyard. He came home with a walking leg, which, as anyone knows, with a young child is not enough. And as he grows for many years to come, he will need new prosthetics. But we will be there advocating for him to have ones that allow him for movement and do anything he desires. I'm honored to advocate for every child and adult who deserves a life with an active lifestyle through the So Everybody Can Move Act. Thank you for your support of Gavin. It's just like him.
Thank you. Welcome. We're glad to have you here today.
Thank you. My name is Gavin. I'm a 7th grader at Chickahominy Middle School. I love playing baseball, basketball, wrestling, rock climbing, and skiing. When I was 10, I was diagnosed with unisarcoma, bone cancer, and I had chemo for 8 months. Part of my treatment was having my right leg amputated. 2 years ago, I received my first prosthetic, but when I could only walk in it, I couldn't run the bases or after my brothers. Getting this bill passed is important to me because I believe every child and adult amputee deserves to be able to get back to the things they love when these things happen. This bill would make it so insurance would cover athletic prosthetics and make it so I could have an active lifestyle that I deserve and every other amputee. There wasn't much I can control when I was diagnosed with cancer, but I can help make a difference now by make things better for amputees like me, so they can live their lives to their fullest. I can help advocate that insurance covers every prosthetic that I need to get back to stealing bases with my teammates. This bill is necessary and important for so many amputees like me. Thank you all for the chance to ask for your help today.
Thank you, Gavin. That was quite courageous and quite wonderful. And thank you for coming today, Gavin. Thank you for everyone who spoke in support of the bill. Is there anyone here that wishes to come forward to speak in opposition to the bill? I didn't think so, but but I have to ask. We do have one person online, Mr. Peter Thomas, that would like to speak in support of the bill. I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair Maldonado. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Peter Thomas with the National Association for the Advancement of Orthotics and Prosthetics. So I lobby and I do legal work in the prosthetics and orthotics area. I'm also a bilateral amputee since age 10. And when I received a set of ski legs when I was 14, it took me out of a slow motion life and opened up my eyes to what my life could be. I now work and have a family, and prosthetic and orthotic care is just critical for those who need it. There is no reason that this should be viewed as a benefit that would be a new mandate. It should not have to be defrayed by the state. This is an existing essential health benefit under the ACA law, and it applies, that benefit applies to Virginia. And so, frankly, this is a question of clarifying the medical necessity of prosthetic and orthotic care or devices. And clearly, there's nothing to say that simple ambulation from point A to point B is the sum total of medical necessity. It is medically necessary for amputees to be able to run, ski, do a whole variety of activities, including showering and bathing if necessary, and proper orthotic and prosthetic care is necessary to accomplish that. That's going to decrease chronic long-term illness, decrease obesity, increase fitness and health and independent living, and those are all cost savers for the state. Thank you so very much. Strongly support HB 216.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Okay, so I think that takes care of testimony in the room. Any last opportunities for committee members? Okay, Delegate Helmer, please, you have the last word if you'd like it.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I appreciate you considering this and the journey this is on. I just wanted to also just say a thank you to one of my groomsmen who lost his leg in Iraq and has been a para-athlete and was an advocate of this, as well as one of my business partners in my private sector life who lost his leg in Afghanistan and brought this bill to our attention. And so I'm hoping that this is for the veterans who are also struggling with the current coverage, that this is a real opportunity for them as well. So really appreciate the subcommittee listening to that. Thank you all who came and testified. That was very compelling. And I know as a group, we're going to go ahead and get this done over the next year.
Thank you, Delegate Helmer. All right. Delegate Sullivan.
Madam Chair, where's Gavin? Where'd he go?
Right over here.
Oh, he's behind. Gavin, that was terrific. Can't wait to see you play basketball. Despite the testimony of the last witness, I do think the proper approach here is to send this to HERC for that analysis, which we will do promptly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So, Madam Chair, my motion would be that that you ask the chair of the committee, the full committee, to send a letter on behalf of this subcommittee, to send a letter to the chair of HERC asking that HERC consider this bill, and in the interim, we'll lay the bill on the table and bring it back at the appropriate time. So my motion is my motion we'll need to vote on is to lay it on the table with our collective heartfelt intent to see this become law.
The motion has been made. Is there a second? Motion has been made and properly seconded. The bill will be laid on the table with a letter sent to HERC requesting for review. Thank you, Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We need to open up the roll. The bill is laid on the table by a vote of 9-0. Thank you. Would you like to move to your next bill, sir?
I would. All right, much more lighthearted fare here, Madam Chair. So in front of you is House Bill 69. House 69 is a bill that makes two changes to the Retail Franchise Act. One is it says that we're going to govern agreements under the Retail Franchise Act in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The second one is we're going to disallow non-compete clauses that say if you terminate the contract or you have a dispute over the contract outside of a court settlement, that you can have a non-compete clause. What this really does is levels the playing field a bit for our small businesses. The situation that a number of franchisees have described to us is that they sign a franchise agreement. So I'm not going to name a company. They're all doing good things, but this is pretty common. Fast food, nursing homes, it doesn't matter. You sign it. That entity is bought out, decides to change their franchise agreement, something like that over the course. And what happens is you lose as a small business the ability to negotiate, and you're given an option. It says you can either take the changes to the franchise agreement, which may not be favorable, may lower the value of your business so that you can't sell the franchise or not get a reasonable price for it. And if you don't sign it, you can't compete in that business for 2 years. So let's say you, and this is not to pick on McDonald's specifically, I'm just going to give a very specific example. You own a McDonald's franchise today. You are doing all the things that are appropriate for being a franchisee of McDonald's. McDonald's comes in and changes your franchise agreement and says you need to sign that franchise agreement. Because there is a non-compete clause, even though it's not favorable, if you choose not to sign the franchise agreement at that moment, they can say, okay, you can't open a Five Guys in the next 2 years within a certain distance. All this does is just levels the playing field a little bit in that situation. I would still say the franchisor has a much more powerful, person in this relationship. So with that, Madam Chair, I'm at the will of the subcommittee.
Thank you, Delegate Helmer. Are there any questions from folks on the committee? No? Okay. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in support of the bill? Do we have anyone online?
Do you have online? Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
4?
No, it's, yeah, suppose.
Okay, we have one online.
Doherty, yeah.
Michael Doherty, if you would please turn on your camera. You have 1 minute.
Okay, camera's on. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Chairwoman. Thanks for opportunity to speak today. My name is Michael Doherty. I'm a small business owner and franchisee in Virginia. I own multiple franchise locations in the healthcare space. I'm here to strongly support House Bill 69 because it speaks directly to what I've lived, a David versus Goliath reality where ordinary Virginians are no match for sophisticated franchise system, weak laws, and under-resourced regulators. For most people buying a franchise, it's not McDonald's, it's not Chick-fil-A, it's not private equity investment, it's the house, the retirement account, the kids' college fund. These people borrow against their homes. They sign personal guarantees. They get small business loans. They do it because they believe they're buying into a proven system with honest disclosures and a fair shot of success. What they do not see, and what I did not see, is who's really in control and what incentives these people actually have. And the law can often allow this to continue. The law is great because first it brings the law back home. If a franchise is sold in Virginia and regulated under Virginia's Retail Franchising Act, our law, and someone else's, will govern that relationship. Second, it names who really holds the power. The controlling person definition has to be acknowledged and exercised directly, not indirectly, as it can happen through trusts, contracts, and affiliates. And these are sophisticated tools that you find out after the fact. That's exactly
Mr. Doherty, thank you so very much. Your time has expired, but I think we understand. And so thank you for sharing your position and taking the time to speak in support of the bill today.
And Madam Chair, I think Mr. Doherty and some other folks submitted some written testimony as well.
Yeah.
So we have all of that as well.
Thank you, Delegate Helmer. Okay, is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in opposition to the bill? All right, well, we do have one person online. Matthew Cagle. Is that right? Yeah. Please go ahead and you have 1 minute. Introduce yourself and your affiliation and share your remarks. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Matthew Cagle. I'm the Senior Director of State and Local Government Relations here at the International Franchise Association. We're the world's largest and oldest franchise association representing franchisees, franchisors, and franchise suppliers. I will start off by just saying that we would appreciate the opportunity to engage with the chief patron. We want to make sure and are eager to work with him to ensure that HB 69 takes a balanced and reasonable approach that works for Virginia. However, at this stage, we must oppose the bill as written. This committee, and I believe House Subcommittee 2 last year has heard this bill. They have rejected this bill as written. As we've explained in years past, broad prohibitions on reasonable post-term non-competes and franchise agreements increase litigation, they discourage settlements, they harm brand standards and consumer trust, and would just look forward to the opportunity to work with the chief patron on targeted amendments to make sure that this bill doesn't do any harm to Virginia.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cagle. All right. Any last comments from committee members? Seeing none, Delegate Helmer, you have the last word if you would like it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. I look forward to working with whoever through the legislative process. I hope to have the support of this committee in terms of making sure we're leveling the playing field for our small businesses in these types of agreements. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Delegate Sullivan.
Speaking of the bill.
You have the floor.
So Delegate Helmer, I'm going to vote to advance the bill. I confess I'm wondering whether the Courts Committee might want to take a look at this too. The Courts deals regularly with issues relating to non-competes, and this bill specifically talks about getting court approval for certain things. So, but we don't have power to do that today. I just wanted you to know that that's on my mind. But I'm happy to advance it, and I'll be supporting it.
Committee works by motion. Second. It's been properly moved and seconded. Let's go ahead and open up the rolls. Place your votes on the board. Okay, your bill reports out by a vote of 9-0. Thank you, Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee.
Okay. Delegate Cole, if you would like to approach the podium. Delegate Cole on HB 64.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. HB 64, bringing this back to the committee, addresses access to speech therapy for individuals who stutter by clarifying how existing health insurance coverage applies to this condition. The bill applies only to health plans that already include habilitative and rehabilitative services and ensures that those services are available when used to treat stuttering. Specifically, the bill provides coverage clarity. Health plans that already cover habilitative and rehabilitative services must cover speech therapy when used to treat stuttering. Removal of inappropriate limits. Coverage may not be restricted by annual benefit limits, visit caps, or by the underlying cause of the stuttering. Removal of administrative barriers. The bill limits the use of utilization management tools, such as prior authorization or narrow medical necessity determinations that are poorly suited to this condition, and implementation timeline. These provisions apply to plans delivered, issued for delivery, or renewed on and after January 1st, 2027. Stuttering typically begins in early childhood and can have lasting educational, social, and economic impacts if access to therapy is delayed or interrupted. The impact of stuttering is not always captured in short clinical snapshots, particularly for individuals who mask symptoms through avoidance, yet still experience significant functional limitations. HB 64 reflects a policy judgment that speech therapy for stuttering should be accessible and continuous, and that rigid caps and utilization management tools do not align well with how this condition presents or is treated. I will state to the committee, I am working with stakeholders. There may be some language that may need to be changed, and hopefully we'll be able to work through that through the committee process. But I ask that the subcommittee favorably report HB 64 to full committee.
Thank you. Delegate Cole, any questions from the committee? Questions or comments? Delegate Ballard, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for the patron. So, Delegate Cole, I'm reading this, and I just have a question about paragraph C, like Charlie, and it says it shall not be subject to any maximum annual benefit limit. So, am I reading that correctly, that in a hypothetical situation, someone could go for speech therapy every single day and insurance would have to cover it?
Madam Chair, I would respond to the delegate. That's the language we were talking about, that there needs to be some things that we can work out. I have heard from stakeholders that we need to figure this out, and so I'm willing to work to change that.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Delegate.
Madam Chair?
Delegate Sullivan.
Speaking of the bill.
You have the floor.
Thank you. Delegate Cole, I've been sitting here talking to council, and I think you know this, but just for the members of the committee and the group, this was in HERC, and we did not do a step 2 analysis of it yet.
That's correct.
And while my recollection of it is fuzzy, I'm sitting here talking to council. HERC does have a limited number of things it can accomplish in any given year. We've got some sort of time left on the clock for your bill, and my own view is I think it might be the right course to send this back to HERC for a step 2.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair, absent another conversation from members of the committee, my motion would be, as it was with Delegate Helmers, that we
Can
lay
we,
this.
sorry, if we could just hold for a motion at the moment. I want to make sure that if there's anybody here that came to speak on behalf of the bill,
I'm sorry.
That we give them opportunity to do so. And we'll take the motion. We'll come back and circle back around to your motion. Are there any other questions from members of the committee? Okay. Is there anyone here present in the room that would like to come and speak in support of the bill? Is there anybody online? No one online. Anybody in the room would like to speak in opposition to the bill?
I'm Doug Gray on behalf of the Virginia Association of Health Plans. This is more of a clarification than an opposition. We cover treatment now. Under federal law, under the ACA, you have to cover habilitative services in the individual and small group market. And if you cover habilitative services in the large group market, you cannot have annual caps or other types of caps. What you can do is have a cap that applies across all services in that category that's equitably done. And so that's why the HERC look at it found that there were some about a 30 visit limit, give or take a little bit. So long story short, I think we can work these things out, and it's fine if we go back to HERC. I think the challenge, as appropriately pointed out, is category C, and we can work through those details. But I want everybody to know we are not trying to provide coverage for folks who have stuttering. I mean, it is absolutely something that needs to be addressed, and it's required to be. We just need to get this right. And I do remember the advocate who was quite persuasive, who came down and spoke. He was a former NBA player, great guy, and did a great job. So would like to do more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Okay. Delegate Cole, before we return to the motions, is there any final words you'd like to share with the room or the committee?
No, I think it's just really important that we're able to get the kids the services that they need. And so I'm willing to work through whatever decision the subcommittee decides to do.
Thank you, Delegate Cole. Thank you for bringing this bill forward again, being a champion for it. Okay, this committee works by motion. Is there a motion? Delegate Sullivan.
Yes, Madam Chair. I would move, and this is consistent with the positive spirit that we've heard from the witnesses and from you, that we lay the bill on the table while you, Madam Chair, ask the chair of the full committee to send a letter to the chair of HERC to ask HERC to renew its consideration and do a step 2 analysis.
Is there a second? Motion has been made and properly seconded. Let's go ahead and open up the rolls, place our votes on the board. Okay, the bill will be laid on the table by a vote of 9-0 with a letter sent to HERC for a level 2 request. Is that actually, maybe we didn't say that, but level 2 request, yes, review. Thank you again, delegate.
Committee, I appreciate it.
Okay. Let's see, Delegate Siebold.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Good afternoon.
So today I have for you HB 90. And just to follow up on Delegate Helmer's testimony, as we learned from Gavin, cancer takes so much from people. It takes their time, their energy, their sense of certainty, and for many patients, chemotherapy, which we use to treat cancer, takes something very deeply personal, their hair. That loss is visible to the world. It can announce a diagnosis before someone is ready to share it. It can affect how a person sees themselves, how their children see them, and how they show up to work, school, and everyday life. HB 90 will require medical insurance companies to provide coverage for scalp cooling treatments, a process that can significantly reduce hair loss in patients receiving chemotherapy. Right now, access to this care depends on whether a patient can afford to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket. That means that this treatment is reserved exclusively for those with financial security, and that's not acceptable. This bill takes a very careful, responsible approach. It applies only to large group plans, allows standard cost sharing, and respects existing limits in state and federal law. So we know that scalp cooling will not cure cancer, but it does help people hold on to a piece of themselves during treatment. At a moment when so much feels out of control for cancer, so for those experiencing cancer, this bill gives patients something back. So I'll go ahead and stop there, Madam Chair, as we have several people in the audience who can speak personally to the impact of scalp cooling treatment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Siebold. Is there any comment or question from folks on the committee? Okay, seeing none. If there's anyone in the room that would like to step forward and provide testimony in support of the bill, please come down to the podium and state your name and affiliation, and you have 1 minute. Welcome.
Hello, members of the committee. My name is Kirsten Millar, and I'm here from the Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation. We support this bill. We thank Delegate Siebold for carrying this legislation. As you can imagine, many women going through treatment for breast cancer will experience hair loss when they're going through chemotherapy, and it can have a negative impact on their well-being during what is a very challenging time. As the delegate mentioned, it can equal a loss of privacy. It makes the cancer more public. For some patients, their hair will never grow back completely, or it will grow back in different ways. And patients using cooling caps find that it helps the hair loss from being noticeable and obvious. And it improves their quality of life. We get calls to our office, oftentimes people asking about cooling caps and the technology, but frankly, many women just cannot afford to pay the price tag. Without insurance, patients can pay out of pocket ranging from $1,500 to $3,000 per course of chemo, and that's out of reach for many. So HB 90 would help ensure more patients have affordable access, so we support this bill.
Thank you. Hello, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Sarah Fishman. I'm a volunteer advocate with the Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation and a breast cancer survivor who has used scalp cooling technology. In 2021, I was just 30 years old when I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. When I was told I needed chemotherapy, one of the first things on my mind was I'm going to lose my hair. Much like I do today, I've always had really long hair for my entire life, and it's a big part of my identity, sense of self-esteem, sense of self-worth. And when you have cancer, as we've heard, you kind of lose all sense of control. You're already going through a life-changing diagnosis, and it's just one more thing that's out of control, makes you look sick, changes how people interact with you. It adds just to that emotional burden that already comes with a cancer diagnosis. I'm very lucky. I was able to afford this. I spent $2,200 just on scalp cooling technology over the course of my chemo, but most people are not in this position. So I urge you to support this bill so everyone can have access to this technology. Thank you.
Thank you. That seems to be it for folks in the room. We do have two people online that would, we have one now? Okay, we'll have one person online that would like to speak in support of the bill. Courtney Kallstrom. Hi, welcome, thank you. Please identify thank you, we're well. Please state your name and affiliation to an organization, if any, and you have 1 minute.
Hi, I'm Courtney Kallstrom. I'm a breast cancer survivor and also the founder of Hair and Hope, a cold capping nonprofit that helps people get grants for cold caps. Just like everybody else was saying, sort of the same story. I was 33 years old when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had 2 young children, and I am a teacher. And when I was diagnosed during treatment, you don't get to control a lot of things during that time, and your physical health is the main priority, which it should be. But the one thing that helped my mental health during this horrible time was being able to use scalp cooling technology or cold capping. I felt like I had some control over myself and what I looked like. When I looked in the mirror, I saw myself, and my 2 little kids saw their mom. People on the street didn't give me the pity look of when somebody is sick. And I felt like I had some control. My kids still to this day don't know that I had breast cancer, and that's a gift. And I'm very lucky. Now, I was so lucky to have my family and friends raise money for me during this time, but it does cost families upwards of $3,000 to do this, and it would be life-changing for insurance to be able to pay and help support of this cold capping or caps cooling technology. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for providing your testimony today. I think that is all we have for testimony. Delegate Siebel, if you'd like the last words, some final words before we turn to the vote.
Just grateful for the opportunity to present this to the committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, this committee operates on motion.
Madam Chair,
Delegate Sullivan.
I feel like I should have this motion on a loop. I think this is another job for HERC. So I would move that, only because we have to, we would lay it on the table with the same request as before, that you ask the chair of the full committee to have HERC look at this. Mr. Gray's coming up.
I'm Doug Gray with the Virginia Association of Health Plans. Just want to provide a little background. I've been checking with the plans. Thus far, I found that most who've responded to me cover it with medical necessity. So I think there's a couple things that need to be resolved. One is making sure what medical necessity means. There's lots of types of chemotherapy. Some are oral, for example. I don't think you would use this for that. It'd probably be used for an infusion and for particular drugs. So we might be able to get to the point, if we get the details right, to do it all the way through, individual, small group, and large group. But we'd have to make sure that there wasn't really a defrayal. And if, in fact, they're already covering it, there could be a defrayal. It can also be true that it's covered and someone still has a significant cost share. Remember, folks are having trouble affording their premiums. And so they have premium cost shares, and then they have large cost shares when they seek service. Many often have deductibles. So, and sometimes you have to meet your deductible first. So it's not quite as simple as you might think. But I wanted to just share with you what I'd found out thus far, which is generally positive towards the experience. And if the advocates can share with me some examples, I'd be happy to try to track them down as well. But I do think we can get some good work done on this eventually.
Thank you. And my apologies, I think we did not call for folks who were in opposition to the bill. So if there is anybody that, I understand, but I realize I didn't call that. So if there is anybody in the room that would like to speak in opposition to the bill, please come forward. Okay. All right, so there is a motion on the table. Okay, the bill has been properly moved and seconded. If we go ahead and open up the board to place our votes, cast our votes. Okay, by a vote of 9-1, we will lay the bill on the table with a letter to HERC for review.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, I think our last bill by our Delegate Ballard, who's been waiting patiently on the committee. You may take it from your chair or down at the podium at your pleasure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll stay here if that's acceptable.
Absolutely.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the committee. So I have House Bill 107, and I would label this as a clarifying bill. It truly is a clarifying bill. It really doesn't change any substance or intent of this existing code section, which is 38.2-2206 K through N. And just kind of high-level explanation very briefly, that particular code section in subsections K through N, it's the mechanism for an injured party to settle with the responsible tortfeasor's insurance and then release the tortfeasor, and then the injured party can pursue a claim for their own underinsured benefits coverage. And so what we've done with this particular bill as it's written, subsection M is kind of the source of some confusion in the courts. I practice some of this law. I think Delegate Kilgore does, maybe some other members of the committee. And so each court really interprets that section a little differently. And so this is just to clarify that basically you do not have to serve the released at-fault tortfeasor. And so because what would happen is the way it's written and sometimes interpreted, some courts would require it, and if you serve it on the released defendant or tortfeasor, then that individual's insurance company becomes involved. It's more litigation, more expensive. And so HB 107 simply makes it clear that the released tortfeasor, the at-fault party, does not need to be served with a copy of the complaint, and that service is only required on an injured party's own insurance company, which obviously would be the proper entity to be served and defend the UIM lawsuit. With that, Madam Chair, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Delegate Ballard. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Yes, I actually see Delegate Cousins.
Thank you, Delegate Maldonado. I just have a question for the patron. So on line 21, where you're striking this 21-day notice for a meeting, what's the purpose of that?
Madam Chair, to the delegate's question, I appreciate that question. When this was drafted, I actually asked why that section was also included in the bill. And basically, when you clarify the section that we're trying to clarify, you have to add that language in there to make it all line up correctly. So it doesn't change the substance of it. It just clarifies when we change something else, it has to be in that section.
So I'm going to take a point of privilege here. So a follow-on question to that. So the language currently in 21 says after the underinsured motorist benefits insurer is served, is there a parameter for service so that it could be less than 21 days, more than 21 days? What does it look like without that language?
Sure, Madam Chair. Good question. I mean, this doesn't change the rules of procedure. It would still be the same service process timelines, which is 21 days.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? You have a follow-up? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Delegate Cousins. I apologize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just one more question. So If the delegate could just provide like a practical example of how this is playing out, maybe like an example.
Yeah, Madam Chair, sure. Happy to do that. I was thinking about doing that. Didn't want to belabor this point, but so if Delegate O'Quinn smashes into Kilgore and injures Delegate Kilgore, all right, Delegate Kilgore has, let's say, catastrophic injuries, $500,000 worth of injuries, so it's an expensive claim. Delegate O'Quinn is cheap, and so he bought the cheapest insurance he could find and just has the state minimums insurance. So when I put, if I'm the attorney for Delegate Kilgore, who's the injured party, if I put the defendant, the tortfeasor, the at-fault party, O'Quinn, on notice and say, my client has $500,000 in damages, you only have $50,000 in insurance, why don't you just pay me now? We will release you. You're the released at-fault party, and you're out of it, the person that smashed into Kilgore. And so what this does is it says, when I'm trying to recover more insurance coverage under Delegate Kilgore's own policy, so not the at-fault party's policy, I don't need to involve Delegate O'Quinn anymore. He's released, he's out. I don't need to serve him. I don't need to put him on notice because, again, different courts interpret this differently. And so most attorneys, and there's some attorneys in the room, by default, they would just go ahead and serve him just to be cautious so the court doesn't ding you and say, hey, you didn't serve the released defendant. And so the whole intent of this is underinsured motorist coverage, so his own insurance. Is that helpful? Okay. And Madam Chair, and I will say if I misspoke my hypothetical, I'm sure there's very smart trial attorneys there that can correct me.
Just the part about him being cheap.
He does have a nice jacket.
All right. Any other questions from the committee members?
Madam Chair.
Delegate Sullivan.
Not a question, just more of a comment. I feel like I'm in civil sub here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I frankly have a little question as to why this isn't in the court's committee in the first place. I do recall some insurance issues like this being before this committee before, but I don't want to slow this train down. I may ask someone later on whether he wants the civil sub to look at this, but I think it's a good bill. It makes sense. So it's before us now. We ought to act on it, but I'll ask a question later.
Thank you, Delegate Sullivan. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in support of the bill? Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Elliot Buckner with the Virginia Trial Lawyers Association, members of the committee. I had a couple of good examples that I was going to give to the committee, but Delegate Ballard, I think, did a really good job of summarizing what this bill is. It's a bill that puts some of the efficiencies of 38.2-2206 K through N back in place. It was designed really to make these cases more streamlined. When you've settled with the liability carrier and the underinsured motorist, they're out and you're pursuing your claim against the UIM carrier. But what ends up happening is if you serve the released tortfeasor, their insurance company just instinctively hires counsel. Now you've got another set of attorneys. You've got a schedule with them. They're participating when they don't need to be. It's inefficient on both sides. So the Virginia Trial Lawyers asked this body vote in favor of this bill, and I'm also in the somewhat unusual position of also conveying to you that the Virginia Farm Bureau supports this bill. So I get to stand up and support her on behalf of an insurance company, which is unusual for me and probably my one and only time, so I'm going to enjoy it. But if the committee has any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Are there any questions from the committee?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in opposition to the bill?
No, not me.
But did you would like to?
Make a motion.
Okay, at the appropriate time, yes. Okay, well, seeing none, then this committee operates by motion, and Delegate Kilgore, you have your button on.
I would move or recommend to the committee that we report the bill.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Let's go ahead and open the rolls, place our votes on the board. right, the bill reports out by a vote of 9-0. Thank you, Delegate Ballard. Okay, that concludes our agenda today. I would like to thank committee members and our staff and our clerks and all of you who participated in this important conversation. Have a good afternoon, and we are adjourned.